Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the participation to this workshop. And I'd like to spend a couple of minutes only to introduce Aequilibria, the consultant company that organize this workshop together with even with the previous one. This part of a process that every 2 months have the opportunity to go deeper in discussion about sustainability topics. And the initial idea of the workshop is try to put together who develop something, who verify something, and who is implementing something. And this something change every 2 months. So the idea is to have the consultant perspective, verification perspective, and the practical experience of the companies. To give you only an overview of our activities, we started in June 2018, so a few years ago, and you see which kind of different topics we discuss in this period, from the carbon footprint of product to sustainability report, EU ETS, B Corp certification. And at the end, in the last year and a half, we start to move from the classic approach, consultant, verification body, and company, to try to develop something else, go deeper in other kind of topics. For example, we had a seminar on step by step, the specific process developed by ADEM, the Environmental French Agency, and even the discussion about CBAM, an important carbon border adjustment mechanism that is a key tool for European Union, that we discussed together with the American US accreditation body, NAB, in February of last year. So, few simple rule. Please, if it's possible, keep the camera open, because it's better to have the possibility to see each other in face to face. And obviously, the microphone should be maintained off. And you have the possibility to write your question, your comment on the chat, or at the end of the presentation, we will have a session question and answer where you may book your intervention by raising your hand. So what is the topic for today? The idea was to create a connection between who developed carbon credits, and who want to buy carbon credits, because carbon credit is a key topic, and maybe we will spend a few words later, but it's a key topic for the companies. At the same time, the reliability of this credit is fundamental. So our idea was to create a moment where we may have the presentation, different perspective of the different stakeholders around the topic of carbon credit market. So I will introduce you the Italian Registro Crediti di Carbonio, this new platform developed for the Italian market. And after my intervention will be Juan David Hernandez, the CEO of Ecoregistry, is a leading company in developing system to give credible and reliable solution in this area. And Juan will have an intervention on enhancing transparency in carbon markets through data-driven solution. After Juan will be Alex Serre, or maybe the colleagues of Alex that will be here to present Srl-Carbono. That is an important, key program operator or standard, as you prefer, based on South America, but working at the international level. And the intervention will be about a new benchmark for carbon markets, the experience of Srl-Carbono. After that, we will take 20 minutes for a coffee break, to freshen our minds and to be ready for the second part of the conference, where we will have this practical experiences. So we have Biofix and CO2 Certo that are two key project owners. So this subject develop project on carbon, able to produce carbon credits. So we will have Maria Cristina Ochoa Foliaco, this operation officer of Biofix, and Juan Luis Rivera, this general director of CO2 Zero. So for this, after this intervention, will be a short explanation on how the platform in Italy is working, and after that, the question and answer time. So to be more effective as possible, I like to open the other presentation. Okay, give me only 1 second. here we are. So very few words. As mentioned before, the topic of offsetting is key. Is key for the company. We don't need to add anything else because we know every day how many companies want to neutralize their emission, want to offset their emission. So there is no doubt about the importance of carbon credits and the possibility to move in the direction of carbon neutrality. And the key point is to understand in which way we may move in order to have a reliable system. From the ISO perspective, the publication of ISO 14068 Part 1, the specific standard for carbon neutrality, was able to provide clarity on the market on how to achieve carbon neutrality status. Because before this standard, there was a lot of different approaches, there was a lot of confusion. Now we have clarity, and the clarity required quantification, reduction, and offsetting. So obviously, offsetting is not the solution. It's not the only way to approach in terms to implement the carbon policy of a company, but it's part of solution. So when the offsetting is part of a broader approach, including quantification, reduction, and is complemented these kind of activities, we may go in the direction of carbon neutrality, and we may show to the market a reliable approach. But at the same time, we know that there is a lot of discussion about the credibility of the project in connection with the carbon offsetting. I was a couple of days ago in the international conference of the producer for biochar, and it was very nice interesting to see how the perception of the market in terms of carbon credits was completely opposite, black and white in some way. Somebody was looking to the offset as the only solution to all the problem of climate change. Somebody else was looking like a devil. So something that's not really in any way a possible contribution for the solution. We believe that we need to stay in the middle. So to have a reliable carbon credits and the use carbon credits in the content that is reliable as well. As I mentioned before, for example, in connection with ISO 14068 Part 1. For this reason, we develop a platform that is a Registro Crediti di Carbonio. We developed this platform in collaboration with Ecoregistry that will be presented later by Juan, that is a leading company in this area and is a partner of ourselves since, I suppose, 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but several years. So we have several years of collaboration together. And the aim of Registro Crediti di Carbonio is to offer to the Italian companies reliable, credible solution, but at the same time, even the possibility to have an easy and rapid access to purchase carbon credits. Because we know that sometimes the company are completely confused on how to could achieve, where to buy, what is the price, for example, of carbon credits. So for this reason, we developed the platform to make easy and rapid the possibility to buy carbon credits. And to conclude, which are the key aspects of Registro Crediti di Carbonio? So the first point is transparency. We will see at the end, all the project can be consulted in a dedicated page. You may go deep, understand where the project is located, which are the characteristics of the project. So everything is transparent and the information is available for everybody. Credibility. All the credits that are part of the platform are there after verification from accredited third-party body. And rapidity, because the credits can autonomously be purchased by the purchase page. So the company may go straight and buy what they need, when they need, and how they need. And the cost reduction. This kind of simplification is a way to facilitate the market for carbon credit, reducing the involvement of intermediary costs that obviously is a kind of limitation for the development of these activities. So after that, I think that I should be on time. And I want to go back to the next other presentation for 1 second. Perfect. So now the next presentation will be performed by Juan David Hernandez, enhancing transparency in carbon markets through data-driven solution. And Ecoregistry, as already mentioned, is a robust and data-driven platform. I think it's not only robust and data-driven because Ecoregistry showed to the market to be, as mentioned before, a leading company to provide solution in this direction. And the point is that the transparency and the connection with international platform are key characteristics of Ecoregistry. And yes, I think that Juan, I may leave to you maybe to complete your presentation that for sure will be more accurate than for myself. And so I have the pleasure to give you the floor for 20 minutes of your intervention. Thank you, Juan.
Thank you, Daniele, and thank you actually all your team and everybody here involved in organizing this event. I am very happy to be here, and thank you for all the assistance at this moment. Let me share my screen. So I have prepared here a small presentation for all of you. So here you can see all my screen, and I will explain to you a little bit about Ecoregistry, why we built Ecoregistry, how it started, and everything. First of all, at the beginning, when we started in 2000, I would say the launch was in 18, but we started in 2017 working on the idea. We saw a lot of flaws in the market, specifically first on data and transparency that supports the issuance of every environmental asset. So our first goal was to give the opportunity or to develop a platform that would allow all the users, all the project developers to upload the information, and will also allow the interaction between the auditors, the validation verification body, the standards, and all in that in one platform, so that you could develop a clear workflow of those interactions, and those interactions could be also part of the assessment process and could be actually traced back to the information, how it has been changed in the platform. What does that mean? It means that when you go into Ecoregistry and see a project, you will see all the information, all the documents, all the versioning of the documents, every single version for every single verification process, who was the validation body, who was the verification body, who was the standard that approved the issuance. So that's very important. Third of all, then once the units are issued, it is very important to connect them to the market. And that's why we give a lot of value in connecting our platform to other platforms, such as the Climate Action Data Trust developed by the World Bank, the government of Singapore, IETA, the International Emissions Trading Association, and the IFC. It is very important because this will give more transparency to the market, since all the information when shared there can be compared and you can benchmark, for example, between projects. We are also connected to Expansive as an exchange and to other exchanges around the world like ACX. We are connecting also to TIX. And last but not least, also Web3 develop tools or environments that use tokenization as a way of giving access to the market. Because that was also another barrier that we found. For example, for project developers, it was very difficult to engage with an international, let's call it one of the biggest standards or registration platforms in the world. It was very difficult for them to engage with them, language barriers, documentation barriers, and different difficulties that you have to understand when you're on the field and you have lived that. Not all the countries are as developed as they, as other countries. So they also have some barriers in some stuff. And then also giving access to the market very easy and transparently. So our purpose is actually to safeguard all the supporting evidence of the issuance process, and then allowing everybody to transfer, connect to exchange, and retire. So as part of our trajectory and what we have done in the past, for example, last year we were recognized as the second best world's registry provider. It's an international recognition given by the Environmental Finance Survey process for the verified carbon market. We were also the first platform to connect to the Climate Action Data Trust, and we focus a lot on an automated API-based connections to avoid human errors. Saying this is actually how you have to imagine Ecoregistry. Ecoregistry is a process-based platform, and let me write here a small sketch here. Until this process, what Ecoregistry does is that in each one of these stages, it allows the project developer to upload all the information that will serve as supporting evidence. That project will be submitted to review. The validation and verification body will review it. The standard will review it. If they require any changes, they can do it through the platforms to avoid email, WhatsApp exchanges. And then at the end, once you have issued the units, then this part of the problem is what we call the information management system. And afterwards, what comes is actually an accounting management system, because then we connect the units to the market. We allow transfers, retirements, and connection to marketplaces. And that's what we are showing you today with the Registro Crediti di Carbonio. What we are expecting is that this will be a marketplace focused on Italian buyers that are interested in investing and getting carbon credits from different projects in all around the world. That will be explained later. Actually, as a platform, we have two solutions. One is for independent standards, such as Srl-Carbono, the standard that is today with us, and that we'll present later. And we have also a solution for countries to allow countries to track their trajectory to meet their NDC goals. So this is just how we benefit from implementing technology, like simple and agile, API-based to avoid human errors, access to multiple projects at the same time, all based in quality and security and compliance with safety and trust regulations internationally. So as we mentioned before, we are connected to the Climate Action Data Trust, and more, something that we care a lot, and I have not taken it out of this presentation. I love this slide, that we have our YouTube channel where we also create webinars, also something that is called the knowledge capsules, to explain a little bit more about the verified and voluntary carbon market, so that people can understand a little bit more how it works, and that people that do not have like the idea that it's blurry or a gray area in the voluntary carbon market. Right now, we are working with 5 independent standards. You see, for example, here, Srl-Carbono, that is here today with us. And the projects that you will see in the platform are certified and issued by Srl-Carbono. We also are working together with Biochar Carbon Credits, based in Italy as well, and Carbon Path, Global Heat Reduction Initiative, and Asia Carbon Institute as their platform provider. So right now we have issued more than 100 million tons of CO2 with more than 180 projects registered on our platform. This is actually our information if anyone wants to contact us. I just wanted to show to you, maybe the last part would be here. Later, there will be a presentation of Registro di Carbonio, and you will see how both platforms are connected, and where you can find more information about these projects, about all of these projects. When you click on one of them, that will lead to Ecoregistry, where you will be able to find all the supporting evidence, all the documentation, all the accounting system, but of course, the whole transaction and interaction process through the marketplace is through Registry di Carbonio. So, thank you very much. I will stop sharing then.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you for this initial presentation, describing which are the characteristics of the system to give credibility guarantee to the markets, because the technical connection system phases is fundamental to allow that when something enters the process, all this information is controlled and produce a right and acceptable result. So this is fundamental. I use the word system because it maybe is more representative, to all the aspects that are related to the credibility of the process. But then we need to move to another part that is what is entering in the system. Because Juan described how it works, but now we need to understand what is coming in and what is coming out. So which are the rules for the generation of the credit, carbon credit? And in this way, we need to change the subject. It's no more who is managing the system, but who is managing the rules to allow the production of carbon credits. And what is called program operator, what is called standard, what is called who is providing rules. And for this reason, now we have the presentation of the new benchmark for carbon market, the experience of Srl-Carbono. And we have Alex Sayer, that is the CEO of Srl-Carbono, that is present here, and Natalia Arango, that will have the presentation, that will explain us more about Srl-Carbono, founded in 2016, is a standard, as I mentioned here, with the voluntary carbon certification program. So we are in the voluntary field in this area. Was developed in Colombia because Colombia had a very interesting law in terms of requirement for a company to pay taxation or to buy carbon credits, but maybe it will be explained later. And I want to add only a few words. This program works only with accredited verifier. It means the verification body need to be accredited. The accreditation body in Colombia is ONAC. And I had the pleasure in the past to work for ONAC. So I was the team leader, let me say, of the accreditation body, looking how the verification body was working in verify the project. And I had the experience of very, very high level of professionality and competence in managing this kind of activity. So for this reason, we started the collaboration with Srl-Carbono because we believe there is a lot of interesting experience behind. So sorry for my additional presentation, Alex and Natalia. And Natalia, now the floor is yours for your presentation.
Okay, Daniel, thank you. Let me share my screen.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Daniel, for the invitation to participate in this event. It is very important for us to participate in capacity building scenarios like this. So hello, everyone. I am Natalia Arango. I am the commercial director of Srl-Carbono, and today I'm here to talk to you about our standard, our program. Srl-Carbono is an international certification standard that has expanded significantly and offers certification in 3 environmental programs. We have the carbon program, the circular economy program, and biodiversity program. My objective here is to show you how Srl-Carbono works, especially in the carbon program, why our carbon credits are high quality, and how we have managed to position ourselves in the voluntary carbon market. So first, I would like to explain that Srl-Carbono is a standard that has expanded its services as an international standard, integrating in its portfolio certification process in 3 environmental programs. And I would like to start with the circular economy program. It's a program that promotes waste recycling and supports long-term sustainability. This program currently has a circular economy methodology to promote plastic recycling, and it is actually in operation right now. The biodiversity program, it's a program designed to support projects and restore ecosystems, thereby contributing to the conservation of global biodiversity. This program is currently in the process of defining the regulatory structure that will guide the development of projects. Sorry. And finally, the Carbono program. It's an international voluntary carbon certification program that issues certificates for the removal of greenhouse gas emissions and reductions achieved through climate change mitigation initiatives that can be implemented in multiple sectors. To be more specific, about the carbon market, I would like to summarize what Carbono has achieved so far with its carbon program. We have implemented projects in 15 countries across Africa, America, Asia, and Europe, demonstrating our ability to operate globally. We currently have 79 registered programs or projects, each contributing significantly to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And to date, we have issued more than 103 million carbon credits, reflecting our ongoing commitment to mitigation, climate change, and supporting sustainable initiatives. These achievements underscore our position as a key actor in the carbon market and our commitment to a greener and more sustainable future. Now, I would like to talk about our normative structure. Srl-Carbono has a defined regulatory structure to determine what projects must comply with and how they must comply. Among the regulatory documents that we have, and all the documentation is publicly available in our webpage. But the first document is the protocol. This document defines all the criteria that projects must meet in order to be certified by Srl-Carbono. These documents defines retroactivity conditions, accreditation periods, additionality, permanence, participation mechanisms, among others criteria that we have defined. The second document is the procedures document. This document describes the stages that make up all the process of the complete project cycle, defining the actors responsible for each activity and the time allocated to each of these processes. After that, we have the quantification methodologies. Srl-Carbono provides methodologies that projects can use to quantify emission reductions or removals, which are listed in our webpage too. To ensure the accuracy of the methodologies, Srl-Carbono implements a rigorous system of review and updating of the methodologies with the intervention of independent experts, as well as we adapt to different developments in order to assess the relevance of the CDM methodologies approved by us. In addition to the protocol, the procedures documents, and the quantification methodologies, we defined, in addition to the definition of the criteria, in those documents, Srl-Carbono has dedicated a great part of the effort to the development of the tools that are part of the development of the projects, and that guarantee the fulfillment of all the criteria defined in the normative documents. These tools are the tool to estimate carbon buffer, because reversals risk of greenhouse gas removals or reductions can occur in the land use sector. Projects should use the Srl-Carbono tool to estimate carbon stock. The Srl-Carbono procedures documents details the program's carbon stock management and the mechanisms for verification, control, monitoring, and response to potential reversal that may happen in this type of projects. The second tool is the tool to demonstrate additionality. The additionality criteria established by Srl-Carbono are detailed in this tool. In particular, it is established that the legal additionality requirements specified by the program are enforced in the specific context in which the use of certified carbon credits is planned must be met, regardless of the compliance status of or level of enforcement of such requirements in the regulatory and legal context of the project, and prevail over the provisions of other tools, other manuals, or methodologies related to the implementation of the project. These criteria will be verified by Srl-Carbono, both in the validation carried out for the initial certification, as well as in the revalidations, either for the renewal of the accreditation period or due to changes in the PDD implementation that requires an additional validation. The other tool is the tool to report contributions from climate change mitigation initiatives to their sustainable development goals. Projects must report their contributions to the SDGs generated by their activity by completing this tool. The use of the tool will be reviewed by the BBB during the validation verification events. The actual contribution of the projects to the SDG can only be reported and verified at verification events. Specifically in REDD+ activities, must also support outcomes related to the safeguards frameworks established for the type of projects, project activity or initiative, such as environmental, social, and governance measures of safeguards to avoid negative impacts and promote the benefits of this type of projects. And the last tool is the guidelines for mapping, presenting, and analysis. Srl-Carbono has defined a guide for the presentation and the analysis of cartography. In this way, the spatial limits of each program or project will be precisely identified, allowing, among other objectives, to provide certainty about the geographical scope in which the results of the activities associated with them will be produced, as well as the identification and evaluation of overlaps, providing quantitative elements to allow their resolution. This guide aims to unify the cartographic information of the programs and project registered in Srl-Carbono, thus supporting the transparency of their actions in a spatial and temporal context. So overall, Srl-Carbono continues to make progress in building and strengthening its regulatory and technical framework to ensure transparency in certification process. In addition, we are focused on identifying and closing market gaps as they arise and ensuring that they are addressed in a timely and effective manner. Thanks to the ongoing efforts and technical strength of our regulatory structure, we have achieved a number of outstanding recognitions These achievements are not only a proof to our commitment to market best practice, but also a demonstration of the positive impact of our work. So here are some of the most significant recent recognition that we have received. The International Carbon Reduction and Offsetting Alliance, ICROA, has endorsed us, confirming the quality and reliability of our carbon credits. Our credits have been accepted as eligible for the carbon pricing mechanism of the state emission compensation system in the state of Querétaro, Mexico, demonstrating with that our commitment to the high quality standards set not only by the voluntary market, but also by national schemes. And finally, we have been recommended by the Technical Advisory Board of the Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International Aviation, CORSIA, for conditional approval in the first phase of the 2024 and 2026 compliance cycle. This will allow Srl Carbono carbon credits generated in the energy and waste management sector to be included in the CORSIA scheme once the process has been completed and approved, which is expected in the second half of this year. So in conclusion, our international expansion, the recognition of our program by leading organizations, and our commitment to transparency and quality position as a reliable option for the registration, certification, and issuance of carbon credits. Thank you for your attention. We are here to answer your question and help you make informed decisions.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you very much for the presentation, Srl Carbono. Let me stress a couple of things about your presentation that are crucial in my view in order to confirm the recognition of the program at the international level. ICROA, as you mentioned, is probably the most recognized network of standard and program operator working in the area of carbon credits. So this is already a fundamental, very important level of achievement recognition about your activities. And the other process that is ongoing in connection with the CORSIA, we know that is very important. It's very important for two reasons. One is that it implies to have a huge potential market in terms of carbon credit requests, because you know that all the aviation sector could move large quantity of emission that need to be offsetted. But it's not only in terms of quantity, but it's also in terms of requirements produced by CORSIA that are very, very strict in order to ensure that all the credits used in the system are reliable credits, because you know it's quite easy to with this very large market to have the risk of let me say carbon credits that are not really credible. And for this reason, CORSIA decided to create a kind of firewall to say only the programs that we recognize are programs that are allowed to sell carbon credits to the company, to our partners. So it's only to stress one more time the credibility and the important work that you already achieved in all these years, and now in connection with a new program, in connection with the circular economy and biodiversity. So thank you so much for your presentation. Alex, I don't know if you want to add something at this moment, or you prefer to stay for the final part of the question and answer.
No, thank you very much, Daniel. Just to mention and just say hello to everyone who's in this seminar. I'm Alex Saed, the CEO of Srl Carbono, and thank you also for the invitation. I think I just wanna stress and point out on something. there is one that there are many standards in the market right now, really good standards as well. We are a standard that really wants to differentiate from others, as we have many touching points with our clients and our close relationships with the program, the project developers, and the BBBs. We highlight a lot on the importance of having many touching points, having a really good relationship, supporting the stakeholder through the whole certification process. So in that sense, that makes a difference between other standards, because we are really in depth from the really initial steps of the projects. So when the project is being registered in the platform and goes to public consultation, in that initial phase, the certification process starts. So the whole process is more smoothly. There are many back and forwards with the project developers. So when the verification report comes from the BBBs, it's a matter of 1-2 months to get the process certified. And Natalia also mentioned about many tools that we have developed that enhance the transparency and the quality of the projects. And that was also a thing that I wanted to highlight. But we are open to any other question. Natalia will stay here. I have to disconnect. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you also for this additional information that you provide. Yes, I think that going back to the program, we are a few minutes in advance for our coffee break, but it's an opportunity to spend 5 minutes more or earlier to drinking a coffee. I take the opportunity to thank all the colleagues from Colombia, because they start 7 a.m. in the morning, so probably they need to have a coffee now. And for this reason, I suggest to have now the coffee break. Maybe we may start 5 minutes in advance. So at 3:15 instead of 3:20. And I'm sure that you will be back here, because now we give you the overview on the theoretical infrastructure, but now we need to move to the practical example. So we will have the project proponent, project owner, they will describe the project. It's a very, very interesting part. So see you in 20 minutes more or less from now at 50 minutes past 3. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. Okay, we are back. So now we move to the practical experiences, as I mentioned before. So the idea, the purpose is now to present the project proponent. The first one will be Biofix, and some specific case in relation to the project. So the case of project owner Biofix is presented by Maria Cristina Ochoa Foliaco. She's
Daniele, we can't hear you.
You hear us now? Okay, thank you. No problem. And so Maria Cristina is expert in natural-based solution with particular activity, emphasis, and experience in the RED Plus projects in collective territories. And she will explain later more maybe about the meaning of RED Plus project and the importance to having connection, not only the environmental part of this project, but even the possibility to work in conjunction, partnership with the communities. And this is a particular key role of this kind of project. Okay, Maria Cristina, I avoid to repeat the importance of Srl-Carbono, Eco-Registry, CROA, etc. And I give you the floor for your presentation. Thank you, Maria Cristina.
Thank you very much, Danielle, for the invitation. So I'm going to share my screen. You can tell me when you already see my presentation.
Okay, we see presentation, and
I think here.
And now in the presentation mode. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, well, today I will be sharing with you the experience of Biofix in the development of nature-based solutions in Latin America along with the challenges and obstacles that this sector faces to have a greater impact on the market and on the territories. So let's delve into something very important and very intriguing, and is that did you know that indigenous communities, despite constituting just 6% of the global population, they hold a very astonishing responsibility. And it's because, according to the World Bank, they are the guardians of our planet's biodiversity, and they conserve almost 80% of the world's remaining biodiversity. So let's think about that for a moment. And where it gets even more captivating is that recent studies have revealed that forest lands under collective indigenous people and local community stewardships, they hold at least 1/4 of all tropical and subtropical forests above ground carbon. So this isn't just only about environmental stewardship, but it's also about recognizing the pivotal role that indigenous communities play in mitigating climate change and preserving our planet's ecosystems. So behind these numbers lies a profound story of resilience, struggle, perseverance, and acknowledging the challenges that these communities faces, and advocating for the rights to ancestral lands and cultural preservation and socioeconomic development. So as we reflect on these remarkable insights, let me pose a question to you. So how can we ensure that ethnic diversity isn't just celebrated, but also respected and empowered? So let's embark on a journey to uncover these answers and also, I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit sick. And also, when we unite, this is where it truly matters. So for indigenous people, forests are a very important part of their culture. There are more than just places, because there are places where they perform cultural activities, traditional practices, and where they pass on the information through generations. So deforestation affects this cultural identity, destroying the core of indigenous communities. And when forests are cut down, their sacred sites, rituals, and close connections with nature are destroyed in a way it cannot be fixed. So for example, the loss of forests in Colombia is an intricate story of conflict, mismanagement, and illegal activities. So for decades, reckless human actions have contributed to the destruction of the country's forest, one of its most important resources. So today, for example, cattle ranching, illicit crops, illegal mining, land conversion, logging for timber, are big money makers for rebel groups that took over the country's green area since the 2016 peace deal that put an end to decades of civil war. But despite more than half of the territory being covered in trees, deforestation in Colombia is making the nation more vulnerable to climate change and contributing to the impoverishment of its people. And for example, in Brazil, more than 80% of all deforested land in the Amazon has been converted to cattle pasture. Also, for example, land conversion to soybean, sugarcane, and the development of road networks and others. So, for example, scientists have raised alarms that deforestation is pushing the entire Amazon rainforest towards a tipping point, that it could lead to irreversible ecological damage and the release of tens of billions of tons of carbon dioxide, making global targets even more difficult to achieve. So in 2021, deforestation in Brazil reached its highest levels in 15 years. Most of it occurred outside of the protected areas and indigenous territories, but even these areas are increasingly being targeted by illegal ranchers and land grabbers. So cattle census data from 2018 showed that over 300,000 cattle were being raised illegally in these protected areas. And as of January, also in 2021, there were at least 2,000 illegal farms containing cattle inside state and federal conservation units and indigenous territories. But despite facing daily threats and enduring negative impacts that extend beyond their borders, these countries persist in holding the greatest environmental potential within the region. So Colombia is conveniently located in the equatorial tropics, and because of this, it has a diverse topography with a variety of climates and ecosystems, which boosts its biodiversity. So it currently accounts for 10% of the Earth flora and fauna. And for example, the region of the Chocó-Darien moist forest has extremely rich biodiversity, and for this reason, it is classified as one of the 25 global biodiversity hotspots prioritized for conservation. So this global ecoregion, which extends alongside the Pacific coast of Colombia and north into Panama along the Caribbean coast, has been suffering some of the highest deforestation levels ever recorded. And Brazil, we know, is the most biologically diverse country in the world. It is classified at the top among the world's 17 mega diverse countries. And biodiversity is a hugely important resource, not only in terms of environmental services that it provides, but also regarding the opportunities presented for the development of sustainable use. So, for example, Brazil is represented by more than 200 indigenous people and 170 languages. So Brazil is mega diverse from a cultural perspective as well. So this large number of local communities and villages possess considerable knowledge on flora and fauna species, including traditional management systems for these natural resources. The contribution of these communities is therefore fundamental for the conservation and sustainable use of the region's genetic and biological resources. So, recognizing the threats and disparities faced by marginalized communities, we as Biofix embarked on a transformative journey to address the intersection of environmental conservation and economic empowerment. So which is our strategy? To direct climate financing towards these communities through nature-based solutions, or NBS initiatives. So we can close the gap between environmental sustainability and socioeconomic development. NBS initiatives aim to tackle climate change, conserve biodiversity, and uplift communities in a holistic manner. At the core of our approach is the recognition that environmental conservation goes hand in hand with poverty reduction and the improvement of livelihoods. So in addition to addressing environmental concerns, our initiatives are committed to tackling these social threats head-on. Our approach aligns closely with the Sustainable Development Goals, addressing not only climate needs, but also the underlying drivers of social threats associated with various SDGs. By empowering local leaders and communities, we enable them to not only safeguard their natural resources, but also confront the drivers of deforestation and
Is it my problem or Maria is frozen? Maria is frozen. Okay. Maria, we lost you for 20 seconds.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
It's okay, don't worry. So I was saying that our initiatives are also firmly rooted in gender equality. So we promote women to actively participate in decision-making processes and ensure that their voices are being heard. By recognizing the crucial role women play in environmental conservation and community development, we not only advocate towards climate goals, but also promote social equity and inclusivity. So from poverty alleviation to gender equality and beyond. Our NBS initiatives are enablers of positive change, driving progress through a more sustainable and equitable future for all. At BioFix, we also believe that the participation and transparency must be fundamental for this type of projects to be successful. So therefore, we advocate for the engagement in discussions forums concerning the draft law regarding the regulated carbon market and the impacts of the voluntary carbon market, the participation in working groups on REDD+ jurisdictional projects and nesting with individual REDD+ projects, engagement in conversations with representatives of national governments to establish a market that generates credits of the highest integrity, bring reference in communication and innovation as a tool for understanding rights and the contracts made by indigenous associations using legal design techniques, the rights of communities in favor of the permanence of their projects and life plans, and the promotion of voluntary carbon market principles such as transparency, integrity, double accounting, and among others. And of course, from a corporate perspective, we recognize that the adoption of a sustainable agenda and climate-related objectives represents a major shift in business, driven by enormous expectations from a variety of stakeholders, ambitious commitments from governments, and increasing capital investment flowing to the cost. So nature-based solutions enable companies like you to make a positive contribution to climate action by generating additional benefits for adaptation, biodiversity, and other sustainable development objectives. And these contributions support non-financial reporting aligned with sustainable management disclosure and other initiatives. So BioFix journey has allowed it to provide support to communities in collective territories, carrying out a total of 11 projects in Colombia and 2 in Brazil in areas of great ecosystem value, such as the Department of Chocó and the Amazon rainforest. And thanks to these projects, we have managed to impact at least 32 ethnic communities, and more than 50,000 people have been benefited, as well as the protection of 131 endangered species and the conservation of 3.5 million hectares, and all backed by the 30 million carbon credits that we have issued under standards ICRO endorsed, such as el carbono, among others. So through the investment in REDD+ projects, and with the aim of demonstrating its environmental additionality, we are restoring areas of our forests that have been degraded or deforested through the construction of nurseries, while simultaneously driving economic development in geographically isolated regions. So we promote value change of non-timber forest products, encouraging the cultivation of fruits such as marañón, acai, vanilla, among others. And additionally, BioFix provides training to the local communities in the development of these value chains, enhancing the community's installed capacities and knowledge to ensure their long-term sustainability. Another strategic investment line focuses on infrastructure improvement, highlighting the establishment of rainwater harvesting systems through elevated tanks or wells to ensure the access to clean water. And another high-impact investment focuses on providing electricity to the community, particularly in the cases where the access to the grid is not guaranteed by the country for remote forested regions where these ethnic communities live. So therefore, we invest in environmentally friendly solutions like solar panels. Also, movement and transportation in these communities, because they are very large forested areas, always presents difficulty because there are no land routes and there is no intention to promote any type of land routes in these territories. So they depend on the rivers for transportation, for transporting their merchandise, transporting the sick, and even for fishing. So this is why there is a large investment in boats. And additionally, in favor of quality education, investments are also made focused on the provision, arrangement, and improvement of schools. And in health matters, brigades are periodically carried out, where specialist doctors, dentists, pediatricians, among others, are brought to the territories equipped with medical equipment and medicines to serve these communities. And because education stands as a fundamental pillar, deserving perpetual investment from all fronts, this belief led Biofix to establish the Scholarship for Social Development program, through which 2 scholarships were granted with the aim to empower women within indigenous and Afro-descendant communities in Colombia, strengthening their roles within their respective territories. So from a technical approach, approaching a project of this nature from a technical perspective to ensure compliance with quality and integrity standards and carrying out all the necessary participation mechanisms, it must be guaranteed that during the pre-feasibility and feasibility phases, relevant assemblies are held. And in these assemblies, the technical team from Biofix travels to the communities to conduct socialization and training activities. So this enables communities to actively participate and clearly understand the different stages of the project, from its formulation and validation to its certification and commercialization. And finally, the necessary support is provided to communities to develop their own implementation projects, choosing the strategic lines in which they wish to invest their resources. And this, of course, ensures the continuity of the project over time. And in legal terms, projects must ensure respect not only for national and local legal frameworks, but also align with the governance structures managed by communities, their legal systems, and guarantee that the agreements are fully understood, ensuring the full and effective participation of communities in all project phases. So for example, in Biofix, we are pioneers in developing a tool to ensure a greater and better understanding of contracts with indigenous communities, which is called legal design or visual law. Because many countries' contracts for project development contain complex clauses that are hardly understood in collective decision-making scenarios, such as indigenous participation settings. So it is for this reason that we have applied legal design tools to allow for a better approach to contractual aspects within the communities. And the result of these of the implementation of these tools is more transparency and equality, and also the satisfaction of indigenous communities in comprehending this information through visual representation. So these are some of the projects that you might find very soon or even already on the Crédito de Carbonio platform. So one of those is Ilha do Bananal, which is our project located in Tocantins, Brazil, which protects at least 1,718,000 acres and benefits more than 40,000 people. You can also find our project Yahuipana, which is located in Guaviare, Colombia, which is a transition zone from the transition region from the Amazon rainforest. It protects also more than 1 million acres and benefits more than 1,000 people. Another project also in the Amazon transition region is called Unumai Red Plus, which protects more than 325,818 acres and benefits more than 400 people. And lastly, we also have the Chonta Corozo Red Plus project, which is located in the Chocó region of Colombia. It protects more than 230,000 acres and benefits more than 3,455 persons. So thank you very much for listening to me, and hope to see you very soon on the platform.
Thank you, Maria Cristina. It was very interesting, to understand that behind the ton of CO2 that we buy when we buy carbon credit, there are a lot more activities, and in particular, what I like in this presentation is the to stress, to underline the connection with the social aspects. That is really crucial, in particular when we work in area where the connection between the social, the life of the people and the forest is strictly connected. No, there's not people that they spend the time to enjoy in the forest, but it's people that live in the forest, and this is a fundamental difference in comparison with other reality. Okay, now thank you, Maria Cristina, again, but then we will have time for the discussion at the end of the other presentation. And now we have, give me only 1 second, okay, I put this slide here. We have José Luis Rivera, CO2 sorry. And so CO2 is another project owner, and is a company, the Colombian company, develops sustainable solution for national and international companies, and they already have implementing several innovative solutions against climate change. And so their business model is designed to be profitable, sustainable, replicable, ensuring long-term success will actively contribute to a more sustainable future. So their goal is to become strategic allies in sustainable solution Latin America by 2030, and they have the pleasure to introduce José Luis Rivera for his presentation. José Luis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And great to be here. Thank you for opening this space. It's very, very important for I mean the projects, the market, and giving an opportunity to the companies to reach to credible and like high integrity projects and to work with the voluntary market. So I'm going to share screen. Second. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yes, absolutely perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, we are a group, Ecologic and CO2. We are a Colombian company. We started back in 2011. Before all of these carbon credits, the markets were such a trend, and we were like focusing on developing a project that was based on reforestation, trying to mitigate climate change. It started with Mauricio Rodriguez and Federico and other partners that were quite concerned about the difficulties and what their families and future generations could face, no? So they changed a little bit their lives to start this project, and that's how everything started. So right now we have I'll show you. This is where everything started in Puerto Gaitán, Meta in Colombia, restoring and planting trees in degraded areas. And so this is a little bit of the timeline that we have been going by, and we started in 2011, where we planted our first tree with the first nursery, working with local communities, and then we also started working on environmental consultancy, working on carbon footprints calculation, working on environmental consulting, because everything is connected. We wanted to tell the people, like, do you want to plant trees? Do you want to mitigate carbon emissions? But then first, what you need to do is to know and have a diagnosis of how much is your impact. So we were working on this both sides. In 2014, we developed, or we issued our first carbon project, like 10 years ago, and we started selling carbon credits in the local market, but it was quite difficult because nobody knew much about carbon credits, about offsetting. Everybody was quite reluctant to this. But in 2018, the government of Colombia established in 2017 and 18, they established the carbon tax for fossil fuels in Colombia. And in 2018, there was the option that you were not, you shouldn't pay the tax if you offset those emissions. So then everything changed, and the companies started looking at offsets and to our project, because we comply with everything on the legal framework from Colombia, and to offset those emissions and not to pay the carbon tax, because they could save money. Then they were very, like, into this process. So we did a spin-off of CO2Zero, which was a brand of Ecologic, and now we're like the two companies. And we started developing more projects. We have developed until now 17 umbrella projects. Those are group projects for small reforestators, and also we develop some other REDD+ projects, which I'll show you later. And we worked with a lot of passion. We're consistent. We always look everything under the sustainability field, and we love to empower people. We love to empower people because we are sure that we can go through this problem of climate change if we all work together. This is not a race or a competition against developers, against projects. We are all aiming to the same thing, and it's to give a better future for everyone. And we work a lot with communities in Colombia, and yeah, we especially with nature-based solutions. And this is part of our team, the manager team. This is Mauricio Rodriguez, is the president of the group, which is also the president of the board of Azocarbono, the carbon actors in Colombia. And yeah, so in CO2Zero, we work, as I told you, sustainability consulting and developing carbon credits. Until now, we have been developed more than 14 million credits and sold 16 million. That's like this 2 million is like we have been doing also some brokerage, 7 REDD+ projects and 17 umbrella, which are these grouped projects. In the REDD+ projects that we have, we're going to focus here on the Srl-Carbono project. And we have 2 very special projects in the Pacific coast of Colombia, Pacífico and Pacífico Sur. The Pacífico project is a very special project. It's on the Pacific coast, and we work with Afro-Colombian communities in the Chocó region, which is a very biodiverse region. working with 4 community councils: Unicosta, Prodefensa del Río Tapaje, Cuenca del Río Escuandé, and Guapi Abajo. And with this project, we reduced 3.1 million tons of emissions in 7 years. It's important to say that we work with a trust that administrates the money, the funds, and the resources that we are having. So this is more transparent. So everything, all the money that comes from the credit will go to this trust, and this trust, the Scandia, will administrate and will give the money to the communities only for the activities that are established on the Red Plus project. Yeah, so we don't administrate the money, and the communities, they say what they want to do that are aligned on these activities of the project, and then they will execute the money, which is very transparent, and it's very good also for the communities. It's also important to tell that Pacifico was it's an eligible project to offset emissions of the Querétaro carbon market. Querétaro is a state in Mexico which has a carbon tax, and because they didn't have enough local projects, they opened up to the region, but they looked for like high integrity programs and projects, so they chose Srl-Carbono, and from Srl-Carbono they chose our project Pacifico to apply to this offset mechanism. And Pacifico Sur is a little bit south from Pacifico, also in the Pacific coast. And in this project, we work with 18 community councils. I'm not going to read them all, but this is a very important work, and it's very important for these communities, because these communities have been almost forgotten from the government and everyone. And now this is a way that resources can be directed to them, and they can do the projects that they have been wanting to do for their community, for their children, for education, and the most special, to avoid deforestation. With this project, we have 3.2 million credits from reductions. And again, we work with Scandia, a trust that administrates all the resources to implement the activities and the projects there. We also have some renewable energy projects, but I'm not going to go too much deep into this, because we sold the credits. So this is just like a little bit of an overview. And of course, we work with the SDGs, and we are like very happy to work right now with you guys, because Aequilibria, and with this new platform that are working with Eco Registry, it's opening and making like a shortcut to connect like the potential buyers, people that want to offset emissions, that want to invest in climate, because this is actually what you are doing, is investing in climate through high integrity projects, and it's much more direct. So thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Lorenzo, for this opportunity, and to the companies that are in the webinar. We're open to any questions. If you want to visit the project, to talk with the communities. We have been receiving people to see the project, buyers, and it's very important for this community. So thank you very much for opening this space. And okay, that's it from
Thank you, Jose
side.
Luis. You use a very important word to establish a kind of shortcut, or let me say, a way to reduce the distance between who produce the carbon credit and who needs the carbon credits. Because often what's happened is that we see all the numbers on the screen, so we don't have the perception on what there is behind the numbers. And your presentation, the last project, for example, clarify how important these projects are for the community. When you mention dozen of communities, I don't remember the number, but several communities working together in order to generate carbon credits and in order to have access to space for economical improvement of the people. Because often when we discuss about climate change, we mention the need to have a climate justice, the difference between the north and south of the world. But it's not only between country at the north and south of the world. Sometimes it's the north or the south within the same countries, because there are communities that are more marginal than other maybe people, other groups of people. And then to take care about who is in less favorable condition is important. And to know that the money will go to this community is an important add value of this kind of project. So thanks again for your presentation. And then we are almost ready for the question and answer section, but you need to have patience for at least the 10 minutes, because as to confirm now, okay, I don't need to share the screen for this. I will like to introduce you the Registro Crediti di Carbonio. And I like to start with a simple video. It's in Italian, but I'm sure that who speak Spanish puede comprender muy bien lo que vamos a decir. So I take 1 minute and a half for this presentation.
Così hai finalmente comprato i tuoi primi crediti di carbonio. È meraviglioso contribuire a salvare il pianeta. La foresta da cui derivano i tuoi crediti, però, è formata da arbusti di appena 20 centimetri. E quei crediti che hai comprato sono stati venduti non solo a te, ma anche ad altre 2 aziende. Quando scavi un pochino più a fondo, scopri che il fatidico bossetto non è un progetto volontario, ma un'area verde prevista per legge. Giusto per non farci mancare nulla, gli arbusti non sono di varietà autoctone, ma per fortuna domattina verranno rasati a zero. Il mercato dei crediti di carbonio deve migliorare parecchio in termini di integrità e affidabilità. Per questo noi abbiamo scelto di dotarci di standard all'avanguardia e di fare della trasparenza massima il nostro baluardo. Il nostro registro crediti di carbonio ha selezionato a livello mondiale soltanto i programmi che forniscono crediti secondo norme riconosciute a livello internazionale e verificate all'interno di sistemi di accreditamento affidabili e sicuri. La trasparenza riguarda ogni step del processo, condivisione delle regole, soggetti coinvolti, natura del credito, criteri di verifica, prezzo e molto altro. Abbiamo scelto per noi la strada più impervia per garantire ai nostri clienti la sicurezza di fare realmente la differenza, perché la lotta al cambiamento climatico passa anche dalle piccole azioni, a volte da un semplice click.
Okay, as you have seen, one of the key points of this presentation is in connection with transparency. And we believe that make available all the information related to a specific project is a key add value to support why we think that the carbon credit is valid and is credible. So for this reason, I like to share with you see with you that the platform. You could see here the explanation of the platform, and then our partner was already mentioned before, Aequilibria and Srl-SB. And then I like to go for the moment, in particular in detail, in this section. This section is the section dedicated to the specific project. And as you may see here, there is a code to recognize, let me use the way to indicate, okay, a code to recognize the project, then you have the name of the project, then who is the project owner. We see Biofix, and below there is a CO2 and who developed the project. What is the sector? Because during the presentation, we've seen that sometimes in connection with the RED+, with the reforestation, in some other cases, it's in connection with the renewable energy or other sectors. So here is the explanation of which is the applicable sector, the quantity of ton of CO2 that is available, and the price. As I mentioned before, we want to be transparent 100% about the price. And here, there is the possibility to buy or to be in connection with us via email for your request to buy a specific amount of credits. So only it is only the summary of the available project, but only to open one of these projects. Let me say I take this one for example, and then here you have all the information behind. For example, maybe now we don't have time to see all of this video, but
Nós estamos numa ilha do Bananal, um território riquíssimo em biodiversidade.
okay.
É uma área de importância internacional, que é a área alagável.
So I go faster because maybe it's a different language, it's less difficult to understand.
Que a gente está ligado, a questão ancestral, a questão cultural, a própria história nossa, ela vem a partir da floresta, dos rios.
So here you have the connection with the people that is involved in the project, is showing what is the value not only for the environment but even for the social aspects, and who will benefit about the project. And again, because the way on how to guarantee the credit is credible is in connection with Srl Carbono and Eco-Registry and the verification and accreditation system. But here you have the description of the project. And this is applicable for all the projects. You see the total amount of credit that is issued, and then the sectors mentioned before, where the project is, who is the validation body or the verification body. In this case, is AENOR. AENOR is a Spanish verification body, is well known at the international level. And if you scroll down a little bit, there is a specific description about the project, as I mentioned here, and the methodology. Another important point was mentioned before by, I don't remember if it was Juan or Srl Carbono that described the connection with the methodology. And then we have the technical data. If you want to see the verification statement, for example, you could have a look, and then you can download. And here you have the verification statement with all the information that are part of the verification process. And let me go back for 1 second here again. And the monitoring report, again, you may ask to have more detail on the monitoring report. And then you have here 50 pages or more describing all the information in connection with the monitoring of this specific project. And even this should be the description of the project. Maybe I jumped. There is cartography, but the format is different. It's not. I don't have the software to open the cartography. But the project description, for example, is here, and it's quite a heavy document, but is almost ready. Here it is. So all information about which are the indigenous people involved, the objective, description of the project, the socioeconomic characterization. You see, I don't need to read all the point in the in the summary, but you see how many information, the baseline scenario that you need to use to compare and to assess the amount of benefit, the amount of credits, the quantification rules, legal and documentary aspects, stakeholder consultation, safeguards, etc., etc., etc. So I don't want to be boring, reading a lot of information in this moment that maybe is not really effective for in the conference. But I like to stress you on how many information are available here. And you have to think that this kind of information is not applicable only to this project. It's applicable to all the projects that are listed here. And we believe that this really add value, allow all the company to go there, to have a look, to see what is the most important project for their purpose, and to decide to buy specific carbon credits, knowing the amount of price that is requested for this kind of, to purchase this kind of credits. So I think that for the moment could be enough. And maybe we are a little bit in advance, but it's better because all our speaker was able to have a very effective presentation, and we save some time. And now I like to open the floor for the question. I have already some question here. The first one is from Lorenza Iacchia. Thank you, Daniele. This is very interesting. Which countries have a register similar to Registro Crediti di Carbonio? Maybe this will be covered later in the event. If we say registry like our registry, probably there are. We should have the participation of Juan David Hernandez from Ecoregistry, but he had to leave a few minutes ago because there's a meeting with the World Bank now. And so I don't have exactly the number. For sure, there are not a lot of registry that are able to provide in this way, in a very open and transparent way, the access to the carbon credits. This is my knowledge, but I like to ask to Srl Carbono, Biofix, CO2Zero, if you have any other information from your side. I don't see microphone.
Hi.
Go ahead, Maria Cristina.
So maybe what I can answer from my experience is that there are other types of registries where you can also find, they're kind of like marketplaces, platforms like Credito di Carbono, but they're not as specific for a country like Credito di Carbono is, which is very specific for Italy, and they're also not connected to the registries, like for example, Credito di Carbono is to Eco Registry, but they're just more like general marketplaces and platforms where you can also find listing of all types of projects in any place in the world. But yeah, they're not like very specific to countries, and they're not necessarily connected to the registries.
Okay, thank you, Maria Cristina. I don't know if some other speaker want to add something. Otherwise, I move. Yes, I move to the next question. What about, this is Nicola Nodari. What about the creation of the National Registry of Carbon Credits from Agri-Forest Sector, CREA, in Italy? Do you know something about it? For example, when it will be available? This is a very interesting question. There was a presentation or representative of ICREA in the biochar meeting that I mentioned before. It was last Friday, last Thursday. I don't remember, last Friday, I suppose. And the point is that theoretically the registry should be already be on place at the beginning of this year, but there was some delay and we don't have clarity on when it will be available. At the same time, there is the carbon removal directive that is under development. So for sure, we need to wait to understand how much how will be the evolution of this activity in Italy. But at the moment, there are not other options, in my understanding. Okay, Mario Grosso, why for the same project there are different lots with different CO2 prices? Who want to answer? Maria Cristina, maybe, or Jose Rivera? Did you?
Sorry, yes, I'm sorry, the question is
The question is that for the same kind of project, there are different lots, different amount, having different prices. I suppose it's in connection with vintage aspects, but I leave to you to the explanation.
Okay. Yes, you're right. It's the vintages are key to these projects. Like the newer, like the most recent vintage, it's more it's higher price. Some companies or mostly some companies, they are focused and they have rules. So they, for example, they only accept the last 5 years vintages to do the offsetting. That's some countries or some, for example, Colombia, the Colombian carbon market to do the offsetting of the tax only accepts the last 5 years. So when a project, the vintage goes like 6 years old, then it lowers the price. So that's actually why. And also it depends. There are some projects that could be a little bit more costly. The implementation of activities or something are more difficult to implement. So it has also a higher price, but mostly it's the vintage which is pulling the price. I don't know, Maria
If I
Cristina,
can
if you want to
ask
add something.
directly. So
Yeah,
from
sure,
the
Mario.
Hi, Daniel. So from the customer point of view, why should I go for the more expensive if there are the different options? So is there any added value to go for the same project, the same amount are available? Why should I go for
Yes.
the one which is more expensive?
You're totally right. It's in terms of climate, in terms of what is good for the environment, it doesn't make any difference if the reduction was made in 2017 or in 2019 or 2021. At the end is one emission that was reduced or that was avoided to go to the atmosphere. So it doesn't make any difference. So if the policy of your company doesn't say like we have to offset with with credits that are from the last 5-year vintages, it doesn't matter. So yeah.
Yes, but I add something, and then I left to Maria Cristina or Natalia if they want to add something more. Because in some cases, like for example, in the implementation of ISO 14068 Part 1 for carbon neutrality, is clarified that you have to use carbon credits not older than 5 years. So in this way, it is similar to the Colombia legislation, and this is pushing the company, let me say, to promote the development of new project, because the idea behind the offset is not only to buy carbon credits developed by project, but even to to finance new projects in order to increase the capacity to remove carbon CO2 from the atmosphere. So I understand that from the physical perspective there is no differences, but at the same time, from the political perspective, this push more in the direction for the new projects. Maria Cristina, Natalia, do you want to add something? Or if Jose already clarified,
No, not really. I think
Yeah.
Jose already clarified it very well. Thank you, Jose.
Okay.
Yes, I only wanted to say that what we know from Srl-Carbono clarifying that we do not participate in the commercialization of the credits is that there are really many factors that influence the value of the credits. And precisely for this reason, it is necessary this type of platforms that we are presented in this event to give out like a closer vision to the value of these credits, because the value is also given by those additional aspects that give more confidence in the quality of the credits, as for example, the contributions to the HCG of any other tools that the projects can like prove in their implementations.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Scrolling down, I take note of the suggestion of coming from Mario to be more precise in describing the price. Accepted, thank you. You know, we are still in the warm-up phases in this moment, so it's really appreciated. And Nicola, another question: why do you decide to propose only network-based solution project in the registry? Will you offer also carbon removal projects, for example, the production of biochar you mentioned at the beginnings of the presentation, or carbon capture and storage technologies? I leave to Maria Cristina and Jose in describing their availability of other projects. At the moment we start with these projects in connection with biochar. This is a kind of spoiler because we will have a specific seminar workshop in a few months dedicated to biochar, because it's a new, attractive, interesting sector. But for the moment, in connection with a carbon removal project, I leave to Maria Cristina and Jose or Natalia to clarify something. Nobody, Maria
Well,
Cristina, you're muted. Okay.
At least in the case of Biofix, we're not a very big company. We are a Colombian company that exists since 2018, and we are specialized on NBS projects within collective territories. So we hope to have removal projects very soon, but also related to nature-based solutions. So we will be looking at reforestation and afforestation projects. So once we have emitted credits from those type of projects, and Registro Crédito de Carbonio also allow us to list those type of projects, we will.
And let me also add something more, Maria Cristina. We are also interested to understand which is the interest for the companies in Italy, because we thought at the beginning it was this kind of focus, but obviously we are here today even to collect requests, comments, feedbacks in order to reshape the availability of carbon credits. Jose, Natalia? If you want to add something, Natalia?
Not from my side, Daniel, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Okay.
No, well, also from CO2Zero, we are working on like planning a biochar project, but we're not there yet to have credits. When we have the credits, we will be happy to put them here on the platform. But yeah, to the moment, no. And I think one thing is it's very important, and it's the carbon capture. I mean, trees are the most efficient way to capture CO2 from the atmosphere. So and the co-benefits from nature-based solution projects are very, very high. And also we are, I mean, like Biofix, we're in Colombia, so I think it's one of the most efficient ways to work, because it also includes communities, and it's very complete with the sustainability pillars, no? Social, economic, and environment wise. Yeah.
Okay, thank you to Jose. And I see a question from Giovanni D'Angelo about registro crediti di carbonio. The carbon credit price is also reported by whom the carbon credit price is fixed and which is the approach to amount it. In some part was already answered before, but maybe we may add some additional comments because Jose, you mentioned, if I'm not wrong, that the community was in some way engaged in the management of the revenue for sure. I don't know even if in the management of the price. I leave to you and Maria Cristina to comment on it.
Yes, definitely. We have a weekly meeting with the representatives of the communities, and they fix what's the minimum price that they want to set for the projects. And this is important because I mean at the end is their needs, and if they want to set a price, then we respect that. So yes, the communities are involved, and we try to guide them also, taking into account the change in the market, because as you know, like a couple years ago, the prices were very high, but with all the media problems and the news, the price went down, and that's sadly it only favored the big emitters. Actually, that's my point of view. With all these bad press and everything, the thing that happened was the price go down. The big polluters are keep offsetting, but at a lower price. And the communities and for the developers and the people that are doing actual initiatives and activities for reducing emissions have less resources. So it's a little bit unfair from my point of view. So, but we have to share this information as developers with the communities and explain them, like, now the market is not paying the same amount of money for the credits. So it's always changing the prices.
Maria Cristina, do you want to add something?
Yes. So basically, as long as there doesn't exist on the country any type of regulated or compliance mechanism, this still is a very free market and a very volatile market. So if there's no type of mechanism, it could be a carbon tax, or it could be a cap and trade system that fixes a price. Basically, developers tend to put prices depending on the voluntary carbon market, and just like Jose just mentioned, it is very volatile. A few years ago, prices were very high, and now they're low. So we're always like playing and moving with those prices, but something that we need to be very careful about is that we need to comply with the expectations of the communities, and that's why maybe prices cannot go as low as they might be on the voluntary carbon market, but also we cannot go beyond what the market or what the demand is asking for.
Okay, let me take the opportunity also to officially thank you, Jose and Maria Cristina, and CO2 Zero and Biofix behind them in expressing the price in a transparent way on the market, because this is not really common approach. Normally, when you want to buy something, some carbon credits, if you are a company, then you need to go to a broker, and then you need to cross your finger in order to understand what is the proposal, how much could be the price, which kind of project will be proposed to you. So really, what is important in my view on this project of Registro Crediti Carbonio is exactly to create the connection and the transparency. Transparency in the project, transparency in the price, and this is possible only because we have the availability of CO2 Zero and Biofix to work together in partnership, and because again, it's not so common to make the price freely available, freely expressed in any kind of platform. So thanks again for this availability. So we don't have other questions written in the chat, but maybe somebody want to raise a hand and to continue the conversation and to take the opportunity to ask for some clarification or to comment the presentation of Srl-Carbono, Biofix, and CO2 Zero. Okay, I wait still a few seconds to see if somebody
some new question in the chat.
Thank you, Lorenzo. What are the requirements that RCC applies to accept the program? You know, the basic approach is to be part of ICROA. ICROA is a level of credibility on the market that we think is the kind of threshold between a lot of other programs that are available that is difficult to understand if they are really solid or not, and programs that are in some way already recognized by the market. So this is mainly the threshold that we fix at the moment. But obviously this kind of activity is in is evolving continuously. So it's difficult to say how it will be in a few years from now. I don't see other question. Or comments. Okay, only some minor information. The next appointment that we have, okay, what are the fees to sell through the platform? Thanks. To sell to the platform, Juan Hernandez, we go through Eco-Registry. So I don't know if you are part of, if you are project proponent or project owner, or in which condition are you expressing this question? In this moment, we go through Srl-Carbono and the Eco-Registry. So this is the approach, and there is no fees for you to be part of this on the platform. Okay. Oh, one more question. Proposal for the carbon removal and carbon farming regulation has been published to regulate carbon removal projects and credit trade in Europe. Do you think this will affect the market on credits from the EU countries? Correct me if I'm wrong, Paula, but it's not already published, but maybe I lost.
Not yet. It's just a draft.
Exactly. And I think it's a directive, is not a regulation, or am I wrong? Am I wrong or?
The proposal is for a regulation as far as I know. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, I also not sure because a lot of legislation and development by European Commission, even if now we are ready for the next election. And I mentioned before that carbon removal will reshape in some way the carbon market in Europe. For sure, there will be not a final document before the end of the year. So we will continue to study and to follow this kind of evolution, and we will keep inform you on any potential change in our approach. Okay.
Maybe to hypothesize a little bit on this question, I think Like, for example, Mexico with their carbon tax, specifically Querétaro, the regulation they established, it says that industries should offset first with local projects, but because they recognize that their territory doesn't have enough potential for these type of projects because they're very civilized, they're already very occupied, and they don't have these areas of large forests that they can do conservation or even reforestation. They open their regulation, so they have like prioritized first local projects, but then they also allow international projects, specifically Latin American projects. And I think maybe if there is a regulation going on in Europe, it might do the same thing, like prioritize local projects from Europe or from their own countries, but also leave a little bit of the door open for international projects, because I don't think there's enough potential in land to cover all the demand that European industries might end up. So actually, I think it could even promote markets here in Latin America, if that could happen.
Yes, yes, Maria Cristina, I think you touch a right point in terms of availability of the sufficient amount of carbon credits. At the same time, we know that all the legislation and standardization in the carbon credit area is an evolution. We are looking with a high level of attention the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So we will see how will be the consequences, not in the transition between countries, but between private subjects. So we don't know how will be the situation on this specific area in the next year, because everything is under evolution. This is my personal point of view. I don't know if Alex or Natalia have a different perception, but I think that this is something that we need to continue to monitor and to adapt in connection with the evolution of the legislation. I don't know if Alex and Natalia agree or they have different views.
Thank you, Daniel. As of Article 6, I think that depends on every country priorities. In fact, there are some countries that they have a very rules for Article 6 transactions. Ghana is one of those countries. Chile is have a draft regulation for Article 6. The kind of reductions or removals they will be accepting through Article 6 depends on many priorities and variables from the country. So that will be country specific, but the ability for us, the standard, to issue the emails based on the country priorities is like the important thing for us.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, I wait to see if somebody else want to express a comment, but I think we have a very interesting conversation. Was really interesting for me to listen all this presentation describing the large framework, the guarantee system that is on place in this moment, and even the practical experiences of the project owner and the dialogue that we had after the presentation was even interesting. Was interesting as well. Only a couple of minor information. We have the next T-Corner. T-Corner is a shorter event that we have, 30 minutes of conversation for a specific topic. The next one will be the 6th of June, and we will have Silvia Ober of the ARPAF, is the Regional Agency for Environment in Veneto, the region where we live. And the topic will be the consumption of soil and of this very, very critical point in connection in Italy, and not only in Italy. And the next workshop is expected to be in July. We didn't fix the specific date at the moment. And the topic, 90% will be the biochar that we mentioned before. So this only to announce the next events. And for the moment, I'd like to thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank you, Lorenzo, that was silent, but was the person that organized everything and allowed that everything was working well in this seminar. And then I'd like to thank you, Maria Cristina, Jose, Natalia, Alex, Juan, and Ecoregistry, Srl Carbono, Biofix, CO2 Zero, for your very kind participation, very interesting contribution. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
bye.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.